So I know a lot of you want to get into paint correction, whether it's for your personal vehicle or you do want to start this as a business. And a big question when it comes to paint correction is like, well, you know, how many polishers do I need? How many pads do I need? The compounded polishes. And then you'll see those questions of like, hey, how do I get, you know, in those tight areas? How do I get underneath the handle? How do I get around those tight spots in the mirrors, in those around the emblems? Like, I see some people removing those emblems. I see people taking off the door handles. I see people with those fancy and expensive tools that you can put a 1-inch polisher on it. And those are all cool and fancy and super cool to have. But for starters, and by the way, please excuse that I'm literally working like in a 3-foot by 1-foot space here, so everything's super packed right now in this tight little wedge. If you are getting into paint correction, or you're stuck in like, hey, do I need to really spend that much amount of, you know, money on like a smaller tool? For starters, and if you're just getting into this, just use literally a towel and a compounder polish, whichever one that is from Malco, and then use a towel and you put this into the towel and just put a little dot of product. I guess it has to be open first. Put a little dot of product and then work this into whatever area you are. So if you are trying to remove the scratches from here, from the door handle or underneath, you'll just put a dab on a quality microfiber, and then you'll just work it in and polish it by hand, and do it as per usual, as if you're using a machine. Wipe it off, inspect. If it needs another pass, you put another dot of product onto your towel and repeat the process. Then you go into the polishing step, put a polish in here, and then rub it out, not agitate, just, you know, do it by hand. And then you'll follow that process along all the small little areas that you need to polish. Yes, there are tools that make it a lot easier. They are expensive, they're cool to have, but for just starters, you just need a little dab of product right here. You do want to use a semi-good microfiber towel. You don't want to use like a little crappy one, just because the fibers will make the difference here. And you'll just gently, and where needed, maybe a bit more thorough, use your just some elbow grease to remove some of these swirls and scratches. And depending on the vehicle that you're working on, you might have a lot of these everywhere, and it's not always going to be 100%, especially if you're doing it by hand and where it's at, but you can get quite of good results just by hand working on these tight areas. Again, I know you might get sucked into the hype of like, oh, I really want that cool product, I really want that cool tool. And if you have the money and you're doing this as a business and you get a lot of paint correction, well then sure. But for starters, you don't need to just off the bat spend all that money, because doing this method here will give you very favorable results. And not just like, oh, like it kind of passes by. No, like you can get a lot of small minor scratches out of these tight areas following this method here. So that's just a quick little tip to use. Like, you don't have to go out and buy a tool right now. Just getting started, use your towel, whatever product, whatever polish you're using, and just following the same steps, just with a towel and your hand and not a polisher and a pad. Hopefully that helps. Let me know if you have any other little tidbits of advice or information for those tight areas for people that are looking to get into this. Other than that, I'll see you on the next one.